Gentlemen, let's talk about it because the Bills, in terms of the games on Christmas Day. Oh, hi, Ryan.
We've seen Shane on the pod. This is now Ryan's debut.
Yeah, not a Merry Christmas for the Bills, just sitting home watching, right? The Bills are in great shape.
Ryan's
See, there's the
reacting
Bills
to
in the
that.
background. The Bills
Perfect
are in
timing.
great. If only Josh Allen would have played well in one of those, say, 425 games against, I don't know, say like the Chiefs or the Lions or the Rams, one of those games.
That was too long ago, Mike, because there was another shiny object.
Yes.
And people get distracted.
This is the Buffalo Plus Podcast, brought to you by Connors and Ferris.
All right, welcome back to the Buffalo Plus Podcast, presented by Connors and Ferris. Mike Catalana, Dan Fates. I am Jenna Cottrell. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Hope everyone had a lovely Christmas. Happy holidays. Happy Kwanzaa. We hope you are getting some great quality time with some loved ones in your life. Gentlemen, let's talk about it because the Bills, in terms of the games on Christmas Day. Oh, hi, Ryan.
We've seen Shane on the pod. This is now Ryan's debut. Can you say hi?
Ryan. Oh, look. Knows how to put the mic in the right spot. Here we go. Nope. She's
What
like,
does
I
Santa
ain't.
say? There it is.
It's a good
like,
take. It's a good
I'm
take.
not getting paid. I'm not talking. That's what she said.
Yeah. All right. Back to content.
Okay. Do you want me to start over?
No.
Oh, okay.
Keep going.
All right, yeah, back to content. All right, Christmas Day. Chiefs lock up the 1 seed and the Ravens win. Mike, let's get into it.
Yeah, not a Merry Christmas for the Bills, just sitting home watching, right? The Bills are in great shape.
Ryan's
See, there's the
reacting
Bills
to
in the
that.
background. The Bills
Perfect
are in
timing.
great shape in terms of the division, the playoffs are going to be the 2 seed, all that. But I'm listening on Christmas because I was driving down here to my daughter's house. And, from what I listened to and then what I eventually saw, Chiefs locked it up, obviously, and looked good doing it. Mm-hmm. And then the Ravens looked very good against an overmatched Texans team. Oh, and Lamar jumped right headfirst back into the MVP race. So in total, it could have been a much better Christmas if any of those things would have changed.
Yeah, and I guess, we wanted to talk about the MVP race because everybody goes, oh, here comes Lamar, Schefter tweeting out, oh, Lamar's running back in the MVP race. Yeah. He was never not in it, I think, is part of it. I also think some context needs to be put into what we're seeing and what we saw. Yes, did the Ravens play 3 games in 11 days? That is a buzzsaw, okay? They did play the Giants. They did play the Steelers at home without George Pickens, and the Steelers may be currently, if you did power rankings, a bottom 10 team in the league. And then you played a Houston Texans team that I guess they can't give up because they will be in the playoffs, but they had no intention of playing in that game. And I left that Christmas game, Mike, and Jenna, to your point too. If that game, this was my big takeaway. If that Texans-Ravens game was played at 1:00 on a Sunday, we wouldn't really be talking about it all that much. Like, Lamar completed 10 passes. Like we're going to sit there and act like he torched them because of what you saw. He had a great run. He is obviously playing at a extremely high level. Like, nobody's ever taken that away from it. But to sit there and say that was an MVP caliber performance to me is a little bit like, Mike, like you were saying before we got on here, a prisoner of the moment.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly what it is, though. It is, let's just react to whatever we saw last. Because, again, we all have the attention of a gnat. And it's like, ooh, shiny object. Ooh, shiny object. Ooh, shiny object over here. Look, Lamar, he did have a nice day. And that was one of the things that I think stood out about, like, looking at the schedule at the end of the season. Lamar, like, playing on Christmas Day, they're 2 standalone games. You're going to get a lot of attention. And for the Ravens to win in the way in which they did, it's understandable to me why some people would say, oh, he's got to be the MVP because you're, again, a prisoner of the moment of what is happening. But I think we can all admit we are very close to this situation, and we watch Josh Allen week in and week out. We've seen the way he's conducted himself since being drafted back in 2018. I think when I look at this season and I look at this Bills team, to me, it's abundantly clear that Josh is the MVP because of the weapons around and what was expected of this team heading into the season. Josh we didn't think he would have the help. We didn't think he would have the receiving core. We didn't think this team would be good enough to lock up the division so early, make the playoffs when they did. But it's all about narratives in the NFL, especially for the overarching awards. And for Lamar right now, he has played well. And I don't want to take that away from him either, Mike.
No, I don't either. And I don't like the idea of the only way to vote or to think about a vote is to tear down the other player. Because it's a 1-2
It's the Mahomes
Allen.
It's
right,
the Mahomes Allen debate. It's
for the
Josh isn't great because Mahomes is better. Yes, two things can be true. There are two guys that are head and shoulders above everybody else playing at an MVP caliber level this year.
Yes. Now, you want to add in the valuable part of it, because I say that because we know the way it doesn't always go to the most valuable player. It goes to the best player on the best team the perception of the best team. If you're going to take points away from Lamar in any way, it's because he has Derrick Henry as his teammate, right? I mean, Derrick Henry's top 5 for MVP.
Yeah.
You would say there's Barkley and Henry, 1A, 1B, whatever you want to say for running backs. And I don't think any other quarterback is really in the race. I mean, you could say Jared Goff, but really it's Lamar and Josh. So to sit here and go, you said, you're right, standalone games. If only Josh Allen would have played well in one of those, say, 425 games against, I don't know, say like the Chiefs or the Lions or the Rams, one of those games.
That was too long ago, Mike, because there was another shiny object.
Yes.
And people get distracted.
Well, Mike, you say like the only knock is that he's got Derrick Henry. How about the knock of his record? Like, why can't we sit there and also say Josh had better stats last year than Lamar? He did.
You're right.
So, but Lamar was the number 1 seed. So everybody said that's where it goes to. He's the better team. So how come this year stats matter more than record and where your seed is? That's where I don't get, like, there's no clear cut way of sitting there and saying, these are the criteria. This is what we value as more important when it comes to this award.
I also want to be fair in this case. At one point last year, the Bills were 6-6. Mm-hmm. And Lamar at that time, 12 games in, I think they were 10-2, mm-hmm. or might even be, whatever they ended up with, 13 wins, I think. And so that does play into it a little bit. Also, what are they, a game behind the Bills now? Or are they 2 behind? No, game behind. And they beat the Bills head-to-head substantially. Now, that was way back in the year. And so if you're making the case for Lamar, you're like, they're going to be the 3 seed instead of the 2 and beat them head-to-head. So I think all of that is true. I just feel like, hey, if Lamar wins again, I think it's tremendous for his career, but it's also an anvil on his back. Like, it's 3 MVPs and then not advancing in the playoffs. And Josh hasn't won it once yet. But the question I have for you guys is, does it play into the minds of the Bills in any way over these last 2 games? Yes.
Jenna, you go first.
No, I'm still formulating how I feel. It feels like what you're thinking.
Did you guys see Dion's story?
No.
On Instagram?
Is it about the 17 chain they gave him?
With an MVP on it?
So they want him to win it. Yeah.
The offensive, like, again, we all know what Josh said. And Jenna, I think you were there when Ty Johnson was asked last week about, like, hey, what would it mean to have Josh win the MVP? And he's like, well, we're not really talking about it all that much. We're just trying to go out there. Josh doesn't care. He, and Josh is saying all the right things because he has team goals. But for the offensive lineman, which is a cool gift because that's a special bond between the offensive lineman and quarterback. They're the ones that always do the big gifts. But to get him a diamond-crusted necklace that says MVP 17, like, you don't think that plays into their hands? You don't think that they feel, like I said, it is interesting, penny in the jar. But the fact that, like, Lamar feels disrespected because how come he wasn't mentioned in the MVP talk? And then it's this person feels disrespected. And again, Jenna, it's your point. It's the attention of the gnat of like, what's the flavor of this day? Not even this week. And I guess I also look at it too, is when you're talking about stats, like I wish the MVP, honestly, like, yes, I understand the bias towards Lamar. If you're a Ravens fan, I understand the bias towards Allen in Western New York, and our job also covering the media. In the media, like it makes our job more interesting. But like you look at stats, and they have those 3 pictures, right, of what their stats are: passing touchdowns, yards, all these things. Like you want to talk about that? Throw Joe Burrow's numbers in there.
Yeah,
what that guy has meant to this team. If he didn't have if his defense wasn't Buffalo plus, they'd probably have 10 or 11 wins, and we'd be sitting there talking about Burrow. So like this whole debate sucks. It's just stupid. Okay. That's what I've taken off. And Mike's screen has frozen at the perfect time because he just had a face of just like, but that's, I guess that's where I take away from this, where it's like people, when Josh had the receiving touchdown against the Niners, just an unbelievable play. Yeah. And I said like, oh, the MVP's over. And now people are responding like, where's the update? Where's the update?
Oh
like,
my God. Well, Twitter is a cesspool. Yeah.
Like this sucks because 2 guys are played at an extremely high level. Okay. And just because you say this guy gets it, it doesn't mean that the other guy isn't deserving, because Josh probably should have won it last year and Lamar did.
Jenna, what I was asking was, and Dan gave a very passionate answer about the team.
You meant more from management, like Sean McDermott and what? Yeah, I figured that's what you meant. I agree with what Dan is saying of like his teammates will be playing hard for him because they just always play hard for Josh.
Right.
We know how universally he is loved in that locker room. But I do think it adds a twist for like Sean McDermott. If they win this week and the Bills lock up the 2 seed, like I would say for that game against the Patriots, like maybe treat it like a preseason game, have him play for a series or a little bit of time and then have him rest.
Or not at all.
Or not at all. That's fine too. I mean, look, we talk about the preseason and how tricky it is, and it's only okay, and then it's not. It gets to a certain point of where is the line. But yeah, like if I'm Sean McDermott and it's, a dead heat between Lamar and Josh coming into the last game of the season, and you have to decide what to do, I'm gonna rest Josh, because I'm gonna say I think I genuinely think Josh would say, F it, MVP, whatever. I want to win a Super Bowl, and that's how I feel like he would handle it.
It would be great if he put up big numbers this week, or very good numbers, and then it's like that's the case, because I don't know if the Ravens game is going to matter at all.
I don't know.
Not.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, they have the advantage of now. By the way, everybody says 3 games in 11 days. There's a lot of times when teams play 3 games in 12 days. I mean, you play Thursday night.
Hey, Mike, context. I don't want to hear any of that.
Also, I don't like you disparaging the Texans. They have a top 5 quarterback.
Oh, man. Do you think CJ Stroud just wishes he put his foot directly in his mouth? He did a lot
saying the words.
He did a lot this offseason.
That video, I was watching it. Yeah, when he's going through, he's talking about Dak. Dak
is ass.
Dak is ass. I know he likes that. That's fine. But like, if you made your top 5 and included Dak because you love Dak, but didn't include yourself, I'm cool with that. Well, you include yourself there. And he has lost players.
They are hard to watch.
Their offensive line is atrocious, and their defense was making business decisions out there, not even trying. Like finishing up, I'm with you guys. What I'm saying is that I think that if there's a chance,
so you're saying
I think the Bills blow out the Jets. I think that was a win last week against New England. That was, hey, we can't just coast through these last few games. They have something to play for at home, all these things. But like when they got to that like 2-yard line and Henry got stopped, I was like, Lamar's throwing this. Like there will be play calls, I feel, that will be decided to pad some stats of Josh in the second half of this game against the Jets, whether it's QB sneaks to get him touchdowns, things like that. Like, that's just my thought of, hey, we're going to get Josh some numbers here on Sunday.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. You talk about QB sneaks. There's the stat about Patrick Mahomes, total touchdowns in his first 8 years of playing. And it's now more than, right. And he didn't play the first year, or it's passing touchdowns. And I looked at it and I was like, wow, it's an impressive number. It's like 255, whatever it is. But if you add passing touchdowns and rushing touchdowns, Josh has played one less year in the league. Mahomes is one ahead of him. I think it's 287 to 288. So it's context. It's like Mahomes or Lamar and Josh are the guys who are, in a different way, elite runners and very productive passers, right? They do that the same way. I mean, Lamar is an incredible runner. Josh is too in his own way, and he finds the end zone more than Lamar running the ball. But Sean McDermott, I think, is going to play it the way is best for the team. I think Josh will too. I say he puts up his numbers this week, and then let the voters have their thought. And then,
agreed.
Well, that adds to it, because when they play the second week in the playoffs, whoever wins the MVP better win that game, even though it doesn't matter, because in terms of the voting, because the voting will be over. But it's almost like you wish before that game, if it is Lamar, that Josh knows Lamar won the MVP coming into it.
Oh, could you imagine?
Yeah. Breaking news.
All right, let's talk a little bit about this game on Sunday, because we have to. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, just what do you see out of this matchup, Dan? Because obviously the Jets do have talent, but they just don't have culture. We've talked about that.
Yeah, they don't have. I mean, it's a circus there. It's been a circus, but this is like a different level of circus because of Aaron Rodgers and his aura, if you want to call it that. Mike, I thought your conversation with Janae Coakley from SNY, it's up on the channel right now, was fascinating, in just the sense of Rodgers thinking that he can change the way things are in New York, and he can change things by doing it his way. And how unlikable somebody can be is just, he continues to top himself in that rankings because of the going back and forth. And it's the, we're professionals and we got to figure out a way to be professional. And you know, you got to love practice and all this stuff. Like, he's a walking hypocrisy. It is, I'm going to, like I said, these two teams have like fought every single time they played. There have been a lot of close matchups.
They hate each other.
Yeah. Dion specifically hates like everybody on the Jets defensive line. So I expect there to be that level of intensity. I just think, as I was talking about with the Texans making business decisions, I think the Jets will make a bunch of those. And I just think the Bills will blow them out.
Yeah, Jenna, I think Rodgers can get his 500th touchdown pass this week. Isn't he at 499?
Yeah.
I think it is. So I'm sure they would love to see that be prevented, or let it be in garbage time when it looks just like the numbers.
Yeah.
But, you know, the thing about Rodgers is I think he can say all that he wants in the building with the Jets players. They know. I mean, they know what this has been. And that's why I don't think he has anybody going with him. Now, he did say he can change New York. Give him credit for this. They have twice the wins that the New York Giants have this year. And I think that is impressive for the Jets, you know, to carry those 4 wins into the offseason. That is something. They are the Kings of Jersey this year with their 4 wins.
You think this game is going to be close, though?
Yeah, because I still think the Bills aren't totally healthy, and we'll see how it plays out for Sunday. And I also think they're going to try to be smart. Josh talked about it last week about not showing everything in a game. They need the game, but they aren't desperate like last year where every game mattered that much. So do they want to win? Absolutely. Finish undefeated at home in the regular season? Absolutely. But I just think sometimes that can happen where you don't blow a team out because you're just sort of riding it and hoping, just like last week. You don't
Yeah.
want to be down 14-0 because that wasn't great, but
Yeah.
finding a way to win the game.
Yeah.
But Jenna, I thought when Sean was kind of asked about Josh's comments about towing the line on that, I think it was asked on the Monday Zoom. Sean's like, I see where Josh is coming from. It also comes down to executing. So like you can keep plays pretty simple and not show your whole hand, but you can execute better than what the Bills did against New England. And I think that's what I expect to see against a Jets team that, again, Mike, you always talked about it, like the last 2 weeks of the year, teams that are out of contention, they have nothing to play for. They don't want to get injured. You're thinking about your vacation. You don't want to have surgery. You're thinking about what you're doing. Like, this is the time. And maybe that's what Rodgers is trying to do. He's just the exact wrong person to be saying it. But like, hey guys, like we got to be in the moment. Like there will still be guys that are on the bottom end of roster that like are unrestricted free agents that are going to put that stuff on tape, right? That's what we always hear. There'll be a lot of other guys that are like, I don't want to have surgery and rehab this offseason because I got Punta Cana I'm heading to, and I don't want to have to be in the building doing that.
Yeah. No, I get it. I think sometimes with divisional games, it can be tough just because the other teams, they hate each other. They know each other so well. But it does make sense to me that at this point in the season, with where the Jets are at 4-11 going into this game, that the business decision piece, I think, is a very real thing and something that we will see on Sunday. And something I think that's encouraging, at least for the Bills, in terms of the injury report, is Rasul Douglas. Now, this was a projected for Wednesday because the Bills did not have practice due to Christmas. They were back on the practice field today on Thursday. But Rasul Douglas would have been a full participant. Obviously, he's missed some time. But other than that, like some of the injuries are something that does concern me, Mike, because not against the Jets. I mean, more down the line playoff type situations of what is your level of concern when it comes to stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, you want to see DeMar and Rapp back on the field. I guess it could be this week, and then we'll see what they do beyond that. And like I said, it's about trying to get this defense back where it needs to be for the playoffs. I don't think it's going to be a dominant defense. I think we know that, but it would be good to get the starters back out there. This might be the only game where all the starters are playing again, but if the injuries keep Hamlin or Rapp off the field, yet another next week may very well be sit some of those guys. Look, if you haven't played it, let's just pick Taylor Rapp. If he hasn't played this run of games and now it's your last game against New England and it doesn't mean anything, he's probably not playing in that one either. So it would have been nice to see them out there. And maybe we will see that Sunday against an offense that does have talent, Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, even though he's probably got a better chance of Josh Allen throwing him the ball than Aaron Rodgers. But how about that? Him talking about leaks. That wasn't a leak, dude. That was your teammate in the locker room saying, I don't know what some people are seeing. So, yes, but that offense does have some ability, and let's see how the defense in whatever form plays.
Jenna, what did you take away? I thought the most interesting thing from McDermott, there's another penny in the jar, from McDermott on Monday. Matt Perino of SNY, Syracuse.com.
Yeah. Syracuse Post-Standard.
Okay, yeah. He had a great question. He asked Sean McDermott about, obviously, Matt Milano has been such a dominant, most impactful player on this organization. But with the injuries, the recovery, when is he going to get up to Matt Milano standard, if ever? And how do you toe that line again between playing Milano because he's Matt Milano or playing somebody like Dorian Williams, who's maybe playing better in this current moment?
Yeah.
I thought he answered it as perfectly as you could, Jenna.
I thought
that was something that did tough question. Like hat tip to Perino. I texted him right after, like, that was a great question.
Yeah.
Because it's a tricky spot to kind of walk.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. And I thought what was something that was, I'm trying not to say the word interesting, but it was interesting to me was just how he said, like, we owe that to Matt. Like, we owe that to him of letting him be out on the field. And I did think we owe him that. And there is certainly a team element to this bigger picture. That's the end. I can
Yeah.
tell you he's going to be given every opportunity to get back and to perform. It is going to take some time, absolutely, like it would for anyone who's been out the number of months he's been out. So I think we owe him that, and there is certainly a team element to this bigger picture.
But we're running out of time to get ready, right? Because
Bingo.
that's the thing. And by the way, interesting was my fine word, and you two have picked up
Yeah,
on
we're
it.
all getting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But listen, Milano's got to play better if he wants to get the snaps. He'll play, but it's the amount of snaps. He hasn't been great. Maybe there's that moment where it clicks in, and maybe it's Sunday and he's flying around the field. I don't know, and they'll see it. But I know they trust his instincts. They trust what he knows.
Sure.
But you got to be able to play. And
1,000%.
Yeah.
There was a
Meritocracy.
there was a drop off between.
I used that word yesterday at Christmas, and everyone was like, "Wow, it's a great word." It's like, yeah.
And you
I
just
didn't come
took
up
full
with
credit for it.
I literally said I learned it from Mike, and they all started laughing.
There was a drop off between Milano to Dorian Williams, young player, and then there's a drop off from them to Balin Spector and whoever is behind them. So you're kind of walking the line, and because again, Dorian Williams has played well. Like I guess there was a time when I was worried, when Milano went down and I'm in Pittsburgh covering the joint practices, like, hey, Dorian, you're the next guy up. He has shown he's been able to put his athleticism with his fit and understanding of the system, which has been very impressive. Like he led the team in tackles until Milano came back, and DeMar Hamlin was second. Like you can't overlook that. So to to get those guys back on the field in some form or fashion would be huge. And then if you can add in a Matt Milano, that would be what, 75, 85% of what he was. I think you would take that in a heartbeat and run to the playoffs.
Yeah, it's so hard because obviously it's going to take time for Milano to get fully ramped up. And we've talked about the ramp up process, but now that he's injured, with the bicep/groin, has been limited at practice, it's like yet another hindrance to him becoming who he was. And guys, we've seen a lot of times like a player gets hurt and it either takes a long time to get back where they were, or they never quite get back to where they were. And that's the scary thing. And when Sean McDermott said at the end of his question to Matt Perino of like, there's obviously a bigger team element in this as well. There is, because you have to make decisions that are challenging, but also what is best for the team. And will that be having Milano be on the sidelines because in a moment you need the playmaker as opposed to the guy that's been there? So I don't know. That is something that definitely big decisions will have to be made. And that also depends on where Milano is at, given the fact that he's been on the injury report this last stretch.
Yep. And you get in these games, it's one thing to say, go play and let's see how it looks. And then the next thing is when it's a playoff game, if it's not happening, the other guy's in. And then when we get to this offseason, I got a feeling that's the transition that's happening anyhow. You feel it, that would make sense for this team. They've done it before, and players have been great players, but injuries change things. Money and injuries combine, and they move on. So, that's where it meets the road there. The playoffs, playing time, and then after that, it's that place going forward, which is where they make roster decisions.
I'm looking at the playoff predictor. Bills currently, obviously, 2 seed is expected, projected. Broncos being the 7 seed, Chargers being the 6 seed, facing off against the 3rd seeded Ravens. 5th seed being Baltimore's 5th seed being Pittsburgh against 4 seeded Houston.
Woof.
Right. And then the Chiefs essentially would just, play the Steelers and then be walking back into the AFC Championship.
The Chiefs would. So the way that would work out is the Bills. If the Bills were to, if the top seeds win, well, let's say the Ravens win over the
Chargers.
Texans, No, I'm saying they would play. I mean, not the Ravens. Yeah, wait a minute. You said it's Ravens Steelers. Oh, that's right. That game.
No,
Yeah.
it'd be Texans Steelers. So I'm saying
Yes.
if the Bills are the 2 seed, if they beat Denver, if the Ravens are the 3 seed, they beat Los Angeles. Technically, the Texans are the 4 seed, but I would expect Baltimore, that's the 5th seed, to beat them because the Texans are struggling right now.
Pittsburgh, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh's the 5th seed.
Yeah.
Yes. What did I say?
So you're right. You said Baltimore, but
Oh,
so then you're right because the 2 always plays the 3 if they win. It's whoever comes out of it. Yes. Yes. And that means for Kansas City. Well, they're likely getting either they're either getting a bad Steelers team or a bad Texans team right now in round 2. That's what was at stake for the 1 seed.
Oh,
Yes.
all right. The Bills just
And
announcing their injury report. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. So Josh Allen once again full in terms of things that were kind of interesting. DeMar Hamlin was once again listed as limited. Cam Lewis is still limited, and Matt Milano was limited on Wednesday. He's full on Thursday. I'm trying to see who else, and then Taylor Rapp is still limited, and Curtis Samuel is still limited. So Milano did practice in full today. So that's encouraging that he was limited earlier in the week.
It's funny. I think the 6 and 7 seeds are more dangerous than the 4 and 5 seeds. I think the Broncos and Chargers are way better right now than the Texans or the Steelers. So if you want to sit there and say what would happen, the Chiefs could face I wouldn't say sneaky good team, but you could face a Broncos team that can put up points and has played them tough, or a Chargers team that they've seen twice a year as well. Just be interesting for the 90th time in this podcast. It would be interesting.
I'm annoyed. I'm not, whatever. There's still more football to be played, but yes. All right. Anything else on this?
No. Do I do picks real quick or scores?
Yeah.
Michael?
Go ahead.
I have the Bills in a closer game. I got 27-23.
Bills 33-13 blowout.
Bills 27-17.
All right. That would still cover the 9.5 point spread.
Yeah, 9.5 point spread. It's supposed to be 50 degrees on Sunday. Balmy. And rain, yeah. Which maybe do you think that would have any effect?
I mean, Bills have shown the ability. Hey, I'll tip my cap. They've shown the ability to have an effective run game. So good for them.
Wow. Christmas miracle. Okay. All right. That'll do it for us.
Credit to me.
Oh my God. I keep forgetting that this is the podcast. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm still in holiday brain. I ate way too many cookies. All right. You want to start, Dan?
Yeah, I got 2. One is my oldest daughter, Shane. She has become like a third parent to this household as we are dealing with 3 kids. The other night, my wife was by herself. I think it was the Sunday when we were at the game, and she's going to put our, 1.5-year-old to bed. The newborn baby, Taylor, is sleeping on the couch in her little snuggle me. And she pretty much just told, hey, Shane, if Taylor starts crying, come up and get me, but I got to go put Ryan to bed. And my wife came down and she was like rubbing Taylor's forehead, had the passy in her mouth, and was like, Mommy, she didn't even cry. Like I did it. I was taking care of her. So that was just a really cool moment to see that, to see your kids take care of one another was pretty cool. I'm sure if there are any parents out there that can relate to that. And then second, Mike, maybe you know this more. I don't know about Jenna, but credit to the American Girl Doll Company. I was not familiar with your game. Yeah, they're killing it. Like as a growing up, it was action figures and toys and sports cards. Our basement is now 90% American Girl Doll, which Shane, who's obsessed with it, calls it her American Doll Girl. She has 3 of them, one being my wife's former doll when she was growing up. She has a camper that has lights. That has a mini Uno deck in there.
my
She
God.
is just in heaven. The clothes, so yeah, for any girl dads out there, the American Girl Doll Company is just printing money.
It's so expensive too.
Yes.
Absurdly expensive.
And you can
They
get
were a lot
like
of gift from the grandparents. It was a
Oh,
lot
that's
of gift from the
nice.
grandparents.
All right, Michael, go ahead.
Quickly, I had both my daughters had American Girls. You know my daughters. Courtney saved everything. Carly sold hers. So that tells you the way
Respect.
they handled things as they grew up. Credit to me. I don't get to drive that often with the Buffalo Plus team unless I'm just with Jenna because Dan commands the wheel. But I drove down here to Long Island and I have changed my approach on driving. I used to feel like I got to be there. What kind of good time can I make? I don't mean speeding. I just mean go, 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 go. Ben Cottrell kind of way of driving. Am I right?
Yes. Yeah.
You
We used to
get
have
there.
ass in seat time. You had to have your ass in the
Yes.
seat or the car was leaving.
And I find myself going, I only stop a couple of times, but if I feel like it, I do. I take a couple minutes. I'm not in a crazy rush. And the truth is, the time ends up about the same anyhow. And I feel much less stressed. I'm not sitting there going, oh, what difference does it make and this is a long drive. So I have learned to kind of, I learned from my driving in Los Angeles, Jenna, calm down, relax, don't hit the curb. Don't you be in the middle of the road.
Frantic.
And
you want to see
a little
someone
bit. Had a moment.
Hysterical.
Oh, LA had its moments, but
yeah.
I made
Mike,
the trip down here.
Does this mean you use a blinker now?
It's a turn signal indicator lamp, Dan. Yes, I use it all the time because in my car now it's got the little camera that comes up, so then I can see the guy I'm cutting off. So
I believe your description of it before was using your turn signal is a suggestion. It is not required.
It's not the law. As far as I know, it's not the law. But
Mike also makes left on reds. So
but listen, it depends on where we are. In some places
it's always illegal.
Yeah, but in some
For
places,
the record,
you know.
it's always it is in
Well,
fact
they should
always
allow it.
illegal. They do for you because you're Mike Catalana.
Just,
No, my credit to me, I
Yeah.
honestly forgot even to have one, but I did not have to set up anything. I did not have to do, when you get like a gift for someone and it's 87 parts. Dan, I'm probably looking right at you.
Built a four-wheeler.
Yeah.
At an auto body shop in my living room.
That's pretty cool, but escaped having to do anything like that. And then I'm excited because we're due to do Christmas with my grandpa next week. So that's what I'm really looking forward to. Oh, hi, Ryan.
Nice.
Boop.
What does Santa say?
More.
This is why we have a studio, guys.
Sometimes.
This
Yeah.
is why we have built a studio.
The studio
That's
looks
it.
great. Or like your setup looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks great.
Oh,
Right,
cutie.
Ryan?
Yeah. Ryan just got her first haircut, so she's showing it off.
Oh, I love it. You always feel better.
Nice.
All right. That'll do it for us and Ryan. For Mike Catalana and Dan Fates, I'm Jenna Cottrell. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. Again, we hope everyone had a lovely holiday. Thank you so much. Oh, hi, honey.
Bye.
Oh, that was so cute. Yes, thank you all, and we'll catch you next time here on the Buffalo Plus podcast presented by Connors and Ferris. Thank you. Bye, honey.